This is the Mountain Buggy Urban Jungle. It's a very popular stroller, and this is one of the newer models. So we wanted to make a little video going over this stroller, a review from a repair standpoint, as we've done with other sorts of strollers. And Mountain Buggy has been a staple in Norway. It's a good, light, solid stroller, and several things have actually changed over the years. Some things good, some things bad. In general, it's very easy to fold together. There's just two buttons at the front. It has a relatively simple locking mechanism on the front, relatively simple brakes, and it's put together mostly with screws, so repairs are not tremendously hard. The newer models are a little bit more complex than the older ones, and this of course leads to the possibility of more things breaking. First thing that has changed is that on the older models there was an axle that ran directly across the stroller, and that is no longer the case. You now have these axles here which slot in, one for each wheel. If these bend or break, I believe the idea is that you can simply remove them, or if you need to pack it to put it on a plane, you can pull the axles in so that they don't bend. But the problem is this is a relatively complex mechanism with springs and many moving parts, and the axle itself is also slightly less sturdy as it's not one solid axle, and that leaves potential problems sometimes. Other areas that can have problems are the tires. The newer tires are actually of a poor quality, and there have been a number of returns because of it. They wear down very quickly. If this has happened to you, I would recommend contacting your store, because I'm aware of many people who have gotten new tires as reimbursement. As with a lot of other strollers of this type, the front swivel mechanism can be a problem. It can rust inside, and the plastic parts can become worn down such that it's quite wiggly. This is actually has been the problem with this exact stroller, but I've now switched out the front fork. If you need to switch out the front fork, we have videos that describe how to do this, but in general this can be a problem area, and it would be worthwhile to take this cap off and oil sometimes in there. Other areas of problem can be the plastic hinges across the whole stroller. Most of it's metal, but there is these plastic hinges and they can break, but luckily it's not so hard to switch them out. You will need to drill out some rivets, but other than that it's relatively easy to switch them out. Overall, we're pretty satisfied with the Mountain Buggy. It has some problems, but the problems are generally minor and easily fixed. The wheels in general on this stroller have been changed in design, and this newer design often has trouble with the ball bearings. And you can switch out the ball bearing on the back side. Another thing that you can do if you have very weak wheels is to pull a piece of wire tightly in right behind this plastic shielding here. If you can wind a little bit of wire and make it tighter, then the wheel will feel a little bit less wobbly. I wanted to also point out that in general, if the stroller feels wobbly this way, the culprit is only 4 screws that need to be tightened. One here on both sides, and one here on both sides. And if you tighten those, you won't have a wobbly feeling with this stroller.